Steffi, thank you so very, very much. I've now got the great pleasure to introduce Carsten Höller. Belgian artist Carsten Höller needs no introduction, one of the leading artists of our time who creates situations which question familiar forms of perception and allow exhibition visitors to experiment on themselves, and who has inspired very strongly the Russian artist Valia Fetisov, whom he will introduce to us tonight. And so we will have images of Valia's work. And obviously Carsten has been very, very instrumental from the very beginning in this idea of encouraging us to find different formats of conferences. So the whole idea that maybe in the exhibition world we have sort of, throughout the 20th century, as the great Richard Hamilton said, invented new rules of the game, and we only remember exhibitions which invent new rules of the game. With conferences and symposiums and any kind of thing related to knowledge, it very often follows the same protocol. So when I met Carsten first, in the 90s, he once told me we should do a conference which doesn't take place. So we organized the conference at and that was actually the very beginning also of the dialogue with Steffi and with Chris Tamar, a dialogue in KFA in Jülich, where all the elements of the conference was there. There were the coffee breaks, there were the artist science encounters, but last minute the conference was cancelled, so it was just a coffee break. And ever since, Carsten has been such an inspiration in the invention of new formats. A very warm welcome to Carsten Höller.
Okay. Thank you. How do we get the image? I need some technical support, please. Is it you? Okay, anyhow, so I can start already. Good evening, my name is Carsten Höller. I would like to present the work of Valia Fetisov. Yes, so you can see how his name is spelled, Valia Fetisov. He's a Russian artist. I've only seen one of his works quite recently in Charger at the Biennial, but it really struck me. It has been like a long time that I've been somewhere where I had a feeling of excitement of seeing something new, which I found, wow, this is really something incredible. This guy really has made something. I didn't know if it was a man or a woman. Valia, I had no idea about this person. I met him on the same day because I had to leave on the next day in the evening, and we had a very good talk together. And I think he made like 5 or 6 works. He's born in 1989. But the work that he made that struck me so much, I would like to present to you. It is, these are images from the first time when he presented this at the Moscow Biennial. It's very easily described. It's a room which has an automatic glass door. When you approach this room, the glass door opens, or it's already open, you can go in, and then it closes behind you. And there's a monitor on the corner. That's really about it. It's a very simple piece. But the problem is you can't get out anymore. Once you're in, the door's closed, you're inside the room. And like this? Better? Okay. Shall I start again? Okay. The people inside the room, they're trapped inside. So next image you see a woman, she's trapped. There's no indication whatsoever in the room how you can get out again. There is on the TV screen that in the Charger presentation, it just said, please continue, that was it. And I think in Moscow he showed a film that I never saw. So you had to figure out what to do. The trick to get out was to be still, not moving for 30 seconds. So if you would just stand still or sit down still and not move for 30 seconds, the door would open again and you would get out. Obviously, there was no way to know this. So the only way to know was to communicate with the people outside of the glass door, because they could read on the tiny little label that you have next to artworks how you can get out again, because it said Valia Fetisov, and describing the work. The other way to get out would be to panic and to try to open the glass door with your hands by physical force, which was also possible. It was installed in such a way that you could open it if you got in a panic situation. I found this an amazing work, probably mainly for the reason that it's not a finished artwork. It's not an artist coming with a finished product in what way it may now be and presented to the public as a result of his or her work in terms of thinking and whatever artists do. But he gives us a situation which is providing many, many possible different outcomes. So this is actually the kind of art I'm personally most interested in, which we have been found a word for this with Daniel Birnbaum in Stockholm. We call it unsaturated art, based on the ideas of a logician called Gottlob Frege, who introduced the term of unsaturation, like unsaturated acids, fatty acids, and these kind of things. So this is for me a typical work of unsaturated art, in the sense that it provides a situation that is very strong, and it's not. There's no artist work that is finished in a sense. It's really something that you can experience with your own life. I'll show you quickly some other works that he did. So this is the same work. People are trying to figure out what to do. Then this is probably his first piece that he did, Space of Sound. So it's 4 loudspeakers that make a very, low kind of humming sound in a space. And then people, if you approach the loudspeaker, the sound goes off slowly. The closer you come, the less sound there will be. So again, producing some kind of total insecurity, which I think is very interesting. And you don't know, did you really hear this? And when you go off again, they will probably start again. But you can't figure out, because there's a kind of device that is following your movements and is connected to the sound of the loudspeaker. So the loudspeaker sound goes down when you approach them. It's the same work. Then he made these fantastic glasses, which I think I really like, because they're like a piece of conceptual art. They're very funny, and they're also producing this amount of insecurity. Plus, they are really unsaturated. These are glasses to watch films. So it's a special film that's project, any film, that measure the movement of the eye, especially when you blink. So when the eye is quickly closed, and then this milliseconds when you close your eyes, the film is projected. When you open them again, the film is gone, so you'll never really see it, because you have to blink to see it, and then it's not there. Another work he did, Control Yourself, has to do with infrastructure in exhibition spaces, surveillance cameras. So what the surveillance camera sees, so to say, what the camera films, you can see through these glasses that you can put on, and then you are like seeing what the surveillance camera sees in the space that you are. So you see yourself filmed from the surveillance camera, and trying to walk through the space is apparently very difficult, because you have to relate to yourself all the time. And then a work he wants to do, and that's the last one I'm going to present, which is called Observations. So it's a very simple concept, and again, very unsaturated, very beautiful, I believe. It's 2 groups of people, 2 rooms adjacent to each other, and only divided by a one-way mirror. One room is lit, the other is not lit. So people go in this one room, just exhibition visitors. If they go in the lit side, they will see a mirror, and the people on the other side will see them through the mirror, because they're standing in the dark side. But the light is switching back and forth every 15, 30 seconds. So suddenly the one who has been watched is becoming the one who watches, and the other way around. So it goes back and forth. It's also, again, producing, a very psychological, tricky social situation, something really weird. What I find so good about it is also that you have to, I really also think the internet is making a very big change, but it is only giving us the possibility to communicate through image and sound. These works, in contrast, I believe, need physical presence. And, as much as the internet will produce more and more information that's available to more and more people, there will be something which has more to do, which will be some kind of counter movement, which has more to do with secrecy, which has more to do with like bodily exposure, with intimate moments, things that you experience with your life, with maybe only yourself or very few people. And in my opinion, Vallé's work goes, points in a very interesting direction. Thank you.
Carsten, thank you so much. Maybe just a few more things. It's kind of interesting also because Valia cannot be with us here because of visa situations and will hopefully come soon to London, but he sent very interesting instructions. And obviously, I think you were mentioning that you found this particularly interesting? Or?
Yes, he can you hear me? Yes.
It's like an experiment.
Yeah, he wanted not to, he wanted to come here. He didn't get a visum. And he wanted to do some, use the situation here to do another work. So not just talk about this work, but make you experience it, so to say. And, there's always a kind of like a little meanness in this work, which I find, I don't dare to be so mean, even though I would like to, but he is. And I think mean is a very interesting thing. So what he proposed, amongst other things that we don't go into now, because we're like a bit out of his mind, but he proposed to have like 20 people in here who are just, look like everybody else, but who do something different because all of these 20 people look at one person in the audience that they agree upon, to create some kind of like total insecurity in this person, and just to see what would happen. It's already very interesting. We once in a while we spoke about Rupert Sheldrake, yeah. And he made these crazy experiments that you can, by staring at somebody, you can, people feel that they are being stared at. It's a very inexplicable phenomenon, but it's something that we all are aware of because we have experienced it ourselves. But if suddenly you have the situation of 20 people looking at you constantly, I think it would be very interesting, like something you won't forget that easily.
There are lots of unrealized projects. He also wanted to set the stage on fire at some point, so that remained unrealized. But it's interesting in terms of the meanness was also the story with the Instagram, because we were in a restaurant in Moscow and invited him to do something for the Instagram. You can see it on the 89 Plus Instagram today, and on this little post-it. And he left the restaurant and came back an hour later, and there was an homage to Robert Louis Stevenson, to the, what is it called, the Treasure Island, I think, no? So that's the black spot. But the black spot was a huge quantity of tar, of boiling tar, which he had put on, on the post-it. So obviously that became the kind of focus of the whole restaurant. Maybe to conclude, Carsten, last question. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote this little book of an advice to a young poet, and Julia read from the different letters. What would be your advice to a young artist?
Be naive. That's really, because also that's another thing. The availability of information about what has been done. For me, I started quite late to become an artist. I was, but I was helped by my own naivete, I have to say. I didn't really know too much. And it was more tricky to get information. But now when I think about, how can I develop my work into like a different direction, which, is something I'm doing every day, obviously, I find it so tricky that, I behave in a completely different way. I'm searching what has been done already. You have to find a kind of niche that nobody has been before. If you're naive, you don't know about these things. Naivete is really something, it's going to be a kind of capital, strangely, because we have been always trying to fight it. But now I think this is going to be something that we should use.
So similarly to doubt, because you once said that doubt is becoming a capital. So.
Yeah, doubt is already capitalized now. I think doubt is like the main thing that I found this as that's another capital that I found very, very useful in many ways. But naivete, I can believe, is going to be a rare resource.
And maybe a very, very last point, because we've got the instructions here of Valia. I thought because of the connection to the digital, remembered our game, which we came up with, which was, it was mainly your idea with, swapping the BlackBerry or the iPhone, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Shall we do it tonight?
Yeah, we could all maybe do it. So how did it exactly go? Do you remember the instruction? That works only with a good friend.
Yeah, you just change phones, and then you answer the phone of your friend, and the phone answers your phone. we did this together. So I had your phone, and of course Hans-Ulrich gets many phone calls, people asking him to do this or that, or SMS and emails. I replied to all of them in 24 hours and saying, yes, I would be happy to do it. So I really fucked up his life.
Carsten, thank you so much. Thank you.